Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now what we are going to. Yesterday we have seen the reverse proxy without authentication. Now we are going to do the same one but with authentication. Basically, we are going to enable the authentication system now. The authentication will happen in Pinkford. Ping access will get the cookie basically. Clear on this one? Yes, now the same case. Now this is the ping access case number 2. Case number 2, you can copy that and again you can paste it. Oh, this is the same use case number 1. Now go to the basis, case number 2. Copy that. I think you can put it in the next line. In the last line. After the last line, you can paste that one. Case number 2. With only authentication used for redirection plus authentication we are going to do basically. Now here can you go back to the previous one yesterday? Document the yesterday case. Now here can you copy the same onboarding call integration, checklist, everything. Just copy everything and paste it. Paste copy till end. Because everything will stay the same. Just extra component, 2 components will be. Can I ask one quick question here? Yesterday when we did this in the ping access, let me just log in here. Virtual host is give me 1 second. If a site looks to be like, the actual site, which is the resources. And then we have the virtual hosting here, which is the URL. The user-facing URL or the ping access endpoint or like load balancer URL, anything we can have. If you're already sending traffic to the load balancer. When you're creating that application, we here and we, added the context and everything. And then we added the virtual host. Now this virtual host is load balancing to these sites anyways. It's not like load balancing kind of stuff. It's like a kind of reverse proxying. We are not exposing that local host or the server details to the internet, basically. Whatever the application, URL, whatever they are having it with the DNS name. That DNS name we can add it as a virtual host. Typically, if I go to say Hotmail.com will send to a couple of servers under there. Exactly. That is what we are doing it here. But in here, what we're doing is we are adding the Hotmail.com, which is the load balancer, URL, in the virtual host. And then we are also adding the actual servers that it is in the backend. Why are you doing? No, that is what here, instead of load balancer, also you can ping. You can act the ping access as a LB also basically. It's not. You're not going to traditionally act as a load balancer. It's basically like a proxying the request. In this case, we're using ping access more like a load balancer. Load balancer proxying anything, we can say basically. What happens if I don't put this here? No, it won't work because that is the one which is the owner of your resources. Because in that server, if it is shut down means you cannot access it. For example, can you just stop these? And then if you try to access it, it won't work. Getting my point, you'll be getting site can't be reached error. Because the resources, everything is running in this server or Apache Tomcat server in that particular site. Getting my point. And then why do I need the virtual host if I'm sending straight to the node, back to the nodes under it? No, you're not going to strike. You are not directly hitting it. The user can. They won't directly access the site. The user will try to access the virtual host only. Or the user will try to access any other URL. For example, let's say what I'm trying to say. It's like a different scenarios. For example, it's a duplicate. The user will try to access one endpoint let's say a /application1.com. Then they will do the DNS redirect to the ping access virtual host. Then ping access will redirect to the reverse proxy using that site, and then it will show the page getting my point. Or sometimes the user will try to access the direct virtual host endpoint, also action getting my point. That is what the concept here. I virtual host. What is the direct virtual host endpoint? Virtual direct. To host an endpoint means that /desktop iPhone. Your endpoint /3000/protector.html. You tried to access it yesterday. That may be the official endpoint for the user, or that may be not. Maybe there will be one more endpoint in the starting. For example, I have an application. We will be configuring the virtual host and then the site and all. The user will try to access /application1.tcs.com. Then the application is having a DNS redirect. When I hit the steps : what you call application1ts.com / something means it will redirect me to the DNS, will redirect to the step is ping access : 3000. I mean, it will be like the port number under it won't be visible. pingaccess.com /protected.html. When I hit that, one backend will process the site and then it will get the resource and display it for the user. You're getting my point. Or I can also directly hit the URL for example some peeps : /pingaccess.com /protected.html. The user can try to hit it directly. Instead of the user does not want to access steps : your server1.com /protector.html. Because that is not exposed to the internet. If you try to access it over the internet, it won't work. Site can be reached. You need to access via ping access as a proxy system. Getting my point? Because ping access the application side, they don't need to expose certain kind of stuff in the internet. They can still keep it as an intranet. Ping access will take care of the other stuff because ping access anyway it will be internet only. You're accessing the application resource to the ping access. That is one thing. And then if you want to do the authentication in between, you cannot go to the direct site. You cannot directly access the site and do the authentication because it is not going to work. That's why we are going via ping access to do the authentication and authorization and reach the site. Getting my point? Think. Let me see how I understand it. It's a few. Your scheme is clean. Yes, I can able to see screen. This is my F5. F5 is typically the load balance of these are using. In here you have appcom. And this is sending to server 1. And then it is also sending to server 2. What are we setting up in ping access? If a ping access we set up this in the virtual host and this in the sites. Exactly, that is what we are doing it. Basically, this becomes the virtual host and these become the site where they are hosting the resources. Basically, my question is this: we already have a 5 correct when in the ping access when the user comes in. This is the user guide that comes in and we send this person to the virtual host. What? Just change the color of the connection. This is the user that is coming in and then we're sending them to the virtual host at this point in time. This virtual host, the DNS resolution, will go here. It will resolve here on the F5. Exactly. When it does that, F5 will send out here to these places. No, here, in this case, ping access. It is there in between the load balancer. You can ignore the load balancing. You are late. Here it might not be the traditional load balancer or it may not having the load balancer also, just the DNS. They will have it, getting my point. They will have just a simple DNS in the DNS system, domain name service, and then that domain name service. We will have it in our system. Just forget about the load balancer. Instead of load balancer, you can have ping access system. Ping access will route your request and reach the site and get you the resource. The application might not have the load balancer at all. The DNS is here and basically the DNS is sending to ping access. It's not like saying it's not sending to ping access, it's like routing it. The user will try to access some, maybe like some any DNS like what you can say application 1, Dexcom. Then it will redirect to the ping access. Then ping access will have an endpoint, that is the virtual host here. Then ping access virtual host will be redirecting to the site. The user will try to access the DNS endpoint. Then they will do the DNS redirect you to the ping access endpoint. That is the virtual host. We have configured that one. I think what you're saying is that the user will come here and the appcom will redirect to ping access virtual host. To the ping access virtual host, and the ping access virtual host is redirecting to these sites. Exactly, and get the resource and display it for the user. Basically, in this scenario, we are using ping access as the reverse proxy or teach the load balancer to send to these particular sites. The assumption here is that this setup does not exist. Requiem action. And also here you can enable the authentication in the middle action. When the user is trying to access the DNS, then it will redirect to ping access. Then ping access will do the authentication also. Basically, that means it will redirect you to the ping fed. In the virtual host, you can redirect to the ping fed. You can put either diagram. Understood. From the virtual host, You can put one more diagram in the bottom like it is redirecting to the ping federate for authentication system. Then PIF will throw the login screen to the user after successful authentication. Then ping fed will generate a token and send the token back to the P. That is the same ping access virtual host. Then ping access will accept the token and it will redirect you to the site and get the resource and display the resource. Yes, the user will have the credential. Ping federate will authenticate after successful credential. This is the UID password. This is the MFA, whatever they want if the gate sends the token. Ping access will process the token and redirect to the site. That is, get the site, get the resource from the site, and then ping access will send it to the virtual host. That will say, no, it's in the site. Virtual host is the ping access anyways. Here, this is reverse proxy model. The way you are going with the ping access as an endpoint. Here itself, we can have the agent also. Ping access agent, where you don't need the virtual host for that action. Very my point. Ping access agent, where we don't need a virtual host. You will be installing the agent inside the site itself. The agent will do the process of whatever the ping access will do action. Very my point. Ping access will process the token and send the attributes to the site. That's a reverse proxy. The application will get the attributes and then they will process it basically. If you install the agent on the site will process everything. Got it, and ping access is still involved. Because ping access will involve because that is the one which will send a request to the agent where you are installing the server. And the information about the user, is that using headers or is that using? Obviously headers. No, we will get the token here. We will get the address from the token, that is ping access. Ping access. We should have to send the attributes to the site where they can process it and accept it. That one, it will be passing in the header. I guess my question in this one. Let's take a different scenario. The user is going to say an application, correct? And this application is load balancing to a couple of servers S1, S2. In this case, we are calling it sites. And let's say this application has an agent and this agent is talking to ping federate. Ping access. It will talk to ping access and then ping access will talk to ping federate. No, I know, but I'm just saying that we have this option also of configuring an agent on the end from the ping federate too. At that point in time, ping federate will basically respond back here with the application attributes. Yes, the user attributes. Attributes belonging to the user, it will respond back. If ping federate is doing that, why do I need ping access? That is what it's like a billing technique somewhere. Here ping federate does not do the authorization. In that case in the system, whatever the scenario we have explained, the agent with ping federate, that case we cannot authorize the user section. One page, we can do the authentication. One page, we cannot do the authentication. That kind of system we cannot do it in the ping federate. That system, we can do it in the ping access only. For example, we will be seeing it Even for example, one protected, we can have the authentication index. We don't need the authentication means it will directly go. That kind of a system. We cannot have it in the ping federate. If you enable authentication, it will work. For protected MIM, also it will work. Indexed UM also authentication will work. And any pages you're accessing it, authentication will be available. Similarly, authorization. It cannot be. It's not available in ping federate. For example, protected one user. One set of group people should have to access protected mail. Other set of people should not have access means. That kind of an authorization system, fine-grained authorization system also. We can do it in the ping access action. You're getting my point. That kind of different, and also cookie injection. If I want to redirect the cookie domain for a different, for example, you are having one domain. You want to send the cookie to a different domain also means that cookie redirection also we can do. That is known as the cookie injection. That kind of an option we can do. And also different based on the header. Also, we can authenticate the user. Authorize the user. Basically, different systems are available. We'll be seeing it. That means different rules and regulations. But those rules are known. It's not there in the ping federate. That's why ping access is little bit not that much widely used in the inner market because the use case is less. If you need only authentication, you can do it in the ping federate also. You don't need the wider perspective here in the ping access. Getting my point? Now here. You mentioned yesterday you want to discuss about the communication between the ping federate and ping access. You said yesterday we want to discuss. Now can you go to the ping access console? Like ping access should have to contact a ping federate. You should have to enable that communication and enable that certification also. Basically because ping access will check the ping federate for client ID, client secret and attributes and other stuffs for authentication system. Here can you go to the settings. First let's go to the settings. Here in the bottom system, can you open the system here? Here in the system, in the token provider, who is providing the token? First of all, obviously, ping federate in the left hand side. Now here, for ping federate means obviously the ping federate will have a lot, the endpoints and all. If you remember, we were discussing token dot what to, authorization dot what to, and all we discussed during what configuration. Those URLs are not. You don't need to separate separately. You don't need to specify automatically. You can able to. The ping access will take if you provide the host name with the port number. If you provide this detail and you can see the metadata, view metadata. Once you provide the URL, and the metadata will get automatically populate into the ping access. This is the worth metadata. Click on the view metadata. If you click on the view metadata, give me 1 second. Just typing down. If you click on the view metadata, it will have all the SSO detail. All the worth details basically. Here if you see what kind of a grant, if you support it, and if you scroll up, what are the endpoints? You can scroll down a little bit. Each and everything token dot what to every endpoint will be available here. The what endpoints and all. Yes, because we added this as the issue exactly. That is a what issue. That is the base, your ping federated base endpoint. That's why. And also for administration to check the client, any client secret and all that is available. administrator in the top action. Take on the administration in the middle. In the administration, you can able to contact the pink federated admin console. The first one is the engine. This one is the admin console because we need to get the client ID, client secret and all. This is, and also we need a certificate. For that certificate, go to the security in the top. We need to get the certificate from the pink federated and we need to upload it here in the pink access in the top security because the client ID, client secret and all. Obviously we are checking. But everything will happen in a secured way. We need a certificate. That's why we exported the certificate and uploaded here. This is for trust. This is for the trust between the pink federated and pink access and also. Just one question in here. We went to security. Certificate on your in certificates. You are in certificates on the heading is certificates. This is for trusting. FARC. Suppose if you need any trust application, you want to enable the trust for any other application, you can get the certificate from them and upload it here. This is not for SL and check. This is for trust. SSL and check. It will be in the key parts in the left hand side. Keepers for the SSL and shake agent and shake your pink access certificate. Everything will be uploaded here. And and we need this. Why do we need this? For the SL and shake. For example, you are having a virtual host. The virtual host sometimes is not our endpoint. It may be like application endpoint also. Application DNS. Application means they will be having HTTPS only. HTTPS means we are doing the load balancing, reverse proxy stuff only. We need to have the same certificate to do the SSL and Shake will have it in the pink access also. In pink access also SSL and Shake will happen for the gateway model. Whatever the certificate, you are having it in the DNS. The same set of it should be uploaded here. Getting my point? This is for virtual host, that is for your SL and Shake. Between pink access and virtual host. Virtual host or application, the URL, we can say anything. Does this mean that if I have 100 applications, I will be adding a certificate? And that YOLO means definitely under certificates. And also Renim, we need to take care. I mean not us. Basically, the application team will give the new certificate. We will upload it here. Clear on this one? These steps. Now let's go back to the pink federate again. Sorry, not pink federate, that second use case, the notepad plus but it. Can you give me 1 second? I just need a little bit of water. Now here the case number 2 here. That is the case number 2 with the authentication, the same redirection, but we will do the authentication in between. Authentication in the sense we will be having some kind of what we can say. We will be having like what authentication system in the configuration. Basically, here in this case first, when we get a call or application onboarding call from them. First, we need to get an authentication system. First, we need to obviously the integration checklist. You can send it in that integration checklist. We can have in the middle authentication is required or not. We have an option. That one, they will say yes. If yes, the next question is the authorization required or not. This case authorization is not required, only authentication system. If authentication is, then authorization is required or not. Now here what you are trying to do now. Here, this is the integration checklist we can have. In the onboarding call, we can like how we have explained yesterday. Similarly, you can ask the same kind of question. If they want authentication system, then obviously we don't need to ask them at all. One thing, what attributes they need. There is a last step. We can ask them what kind of an attributes they want in the cookie, or they want in the there is in the token, or they want in the header format. Mostly it's a header. Do they want and which format header? Mostly header 1, like header that is cookie means that's a token or header. Now here in this. Mostly it's like a header means they will get all the details in the header itself. Then the next one. Obviously, the next concept is known as 3. Once we get the integration checklist, then we can directly, we don't need the authentication which grant type they want. Those are all. We don't need to take care. Those are all we will. That is inside our ping ferret and ping access will take care those stuffs. Here once we get all the things, then what are the components for the ping access if we require authentication and only authentication? Here sites virtual host will continue certificates, pages and list of resources and everything will continue. What do you think the next concept is done as the in-between? We will have one web session. Just one question here. When we did yesterday, we did this sites, we did. I add these notes later on. These notes later on for sites, virtual oceans applications. Now the certificate key pair. Did we do it? We already did it in the first class itself. That's why we are using the existing certificate itself. And the certificate key pair for the app. Is this the one that we added to the ping ferret? PFX format if you can. If you can go back to the key parts. In the key pair, you are seeing the PF cert. That is what the ping credits are. Since we are using the same domain, same endpoint and all, that's why we are using the same certificate. Suppose the URL will be different in the real time. Obviously, we will get the certificate from the application team and import it here. Add an import option, it is there. If you click on import, this one, this one goes. This is the certificate from the pink credit. That is the certificate from the pink ferret, but normally certificate from the application side. They will give you the cert. For us, we just create it manually. This is the search from the pink ferret basically. Application team. Oh, sorry application team. What are the certificate we have uploaded that is from the pink ferret for testing purpose? We create it manually but in a real time. You will get it from app team, who is managing the endpoint and all their team. Now here in this case. Now here, I think we are. Let's go back to the not part again. Now here, obviously, what are the components we will be configuring already, like sites which will host certificates, resources and all. It is already there. Two more components will come into the picture. One thing is that this is for one day for ping access. The components of ping access, it is there in the after the next line to the certificate. I think line number 22. After that line number 22. Yes, you can put enter. You can put the web session. Web session means whatever the client ID client secret, we are using it in the ping federal. Obviously, we need to use the same thing in the ping access also. Because ping access is the resource server here. What means? What is having a session server? That is a ping fed, which will take care of the authentication, but who will accept the token and who will get that to which and all. Those are all will be done by the resource server who is initiating the request for authentication. Everything is done by the ping access here. That is a resource server. Inside the resource server, obviously you need to configure client ID client secret. That client ID client secret you are going to configure at the web session only inside the web session. We are going to give whatever the client ID we created ping federal. We need to do the same thing here and obviously grant type. Audition code grant type is the one which will work. Impressive at all. It's not their only audition code. PKC method also we can use. This is the concept. We'll be configuring ping favorite and using ping access as the client. No ping access is the resource server. This is the resource. PS. Ping access as resource server with the client ID client secret. Next is identity mapping. Easy code. Audition code only, obviously. And also in the next line to the web session, there itself one more concept, identity mapping. Identity mapping. In short form, I am identity mapping. Obviously you, the naming name itself, it is suggesting. It's like what's going to give. It's going to take that to this from the token and send it to the application. That is what the concept. Whatever that which we are sending in the token in the ping fed. This one will get it. I in the identity mapping only. We are receiving it in the ping access. We are going to from the identity mapping we can mention whether we need to send it to the application through the headers or the cookie, or that is a days on itself that we can able to configure in the identity mapping only. Whatever the clients we are sending in the token, we need to get the same thing. We should not miss any one value or else it will give an error, claims it not matching that kind of an error. Now the next one. Now how exactly? We have the client ID configured, we have the attributes and everything is fine. But how ping access will reach out to the ping fed rate in the first place? I mean, obviously you can say all the endpoints are configured in the ping access itself. All the endpoints has been configured and everything is done. But how we can able to make a ping access to start the authentication? I mean, without authentication, we can redirect directly. That is what we have discussed yesterday. But here, how we can able to start the authentication, how we can make the ping access to start the authentication and redirect to the ping fed rate. That is known as the authentication requirement. Because we need to make the ping access to initiate and we need to make the ping fed rate. This is coming from the ping access. Ping fed rate also needs to understand it is coming from the ping for ping access only. How come ping fed rate will know? For that we need to create one. What we can say that in ping, access terminology is authentication requirement. But we can say some kind of like, I cannot be able to tell that. But some kind of a mandatory value. Ping access will send to PF. PF can able to understand. Oh, this is coming from the ping access only. I will accept it. Like ping fed rate can understand that one. Some kind of a one code word. From ping access to the PF. That is known as the what you can say authentication requirement. Maybe we can say it's a rule or it's a requirement or it's like some kind of a code word we can use. That should be in the no in the same page only. Oh, is it getting low or something? No, I create. This is the one that we were using, but I'm just giving another one for ping access to ping fed rate connection, because in here I want to with the other stuff that we were talking about, security system, token provider. All of that I'll put in here. Oh, I can understand. Now here that authentication recommend is the one which will make the PF and PA as a ping fed rate can understand the communication. Authentication requirements, some kind of a code word we can create, like for example, let's say some kind of a mandatory word, some kind of a naming convention we can use. For example, pertinent. PA or T, and means it's like a kind of a I'm using it. For example, when you get this option, ping fed rate directly will go to the policy. I don't know whether you remember it or not. If you remember, in ping fed rate we saw the AC, R selector, rate authentication context selector like a query parameter selector. You remember that one? Yes. Ping access. How it will redirect to ping fed rate. This code word in the query parameter. What request will go from to PA to when it is going on in that request, it will assign this value. Like this ACR underscore values is equal to, this is the word, this is a query parameter. ACR underscore values is equal to, that's a syntax. We cannot change this parameter. SCR underscore in short form, in lower case only ACR underscore values. Values is equal to that whatever the PA or TNAN, whatever the code word we are using it, we are creating in ping access that one. Whatever the value we are creating it, that value it will automatically take it. Ping access will automatically take it and send it to the PF. PF in ping fed rate. We need to create a selector. To understand this code, getting my point? That we can authenticate properly. That we can create a separate policy for ping, access and authenticate according to them. We need to create a selector to get that code properly and authenticate. And this, do we add that to a policy? Yes, obviously selector we are creating means we need to create it. We need to map that selector in the policy that we can trigger proper adapter automatically. Yes? Yes, we need to map that selector in the policy. Yes, automatically we can able to create a separate policy for that. This is like a ping fed rate connection. Also, we can create then obviously policy we can create. Already we have created adapter and the PCV data store and all contacting the ping directory. Everything is done. Then obviously in what we need to create a separate client ID client secret for ping access. For example, 100 applications you are configuring means 100 client ID client secret. We need to create one by one. All under the application require. Authentication means we need to create 100 client ID client secret. We should not use same client ID secret because some people will try to use same client ID secret and all, but that's not a good way to manage. It's better to use different client ID secret. Suppose if you want an application asking for authentication, we can try to create separate client ID secret for each and every application. In ping fed rate, We need to create client ID client secret with authorization code grant type. And obviously you know the token manager at the JBOT token manager, token mappings and all. If it is already there, we can use it, or else we can create the token manager. In the bracket, we can put access token manager, token mappings and YDC policy. This is for the ping fed rate. It's purely what configuration, whatever we did in what. The same concept. We are going to continue again. At the time we tested in Postman. Here we are going to test it directly itself. Ping access, like if you remember, we copy the URL, we put it in the browser getting the code, then swapping the code to get the token in the Postman and all. That one we don't need to do it. We can directly, the URL will redirect. We will get the code automatically. It will generate the token in the backend. We can get that attributes and everything. This is for the ping fed rate steps. It's like when you do one configuration, automatically you can able to continuously can do that other stuff. This is required for the PF that first create a selector policies, client ID, client secret and token manager. Token mappings prepare everything in the ping fed rate. Then we can go with the ping access web session and then the identity mapping. Clear on this one? Everything good. Everything's good. I think we will create one authentication requirement as of now. Oh sorry, I think one more step. Can you go back to that reverse proxy with authentication? One more step. It will be available in the middle in the ping access. Maybe you can put after that identity mapping. After the identity mapping, next line to the identity mapping. Rules authentication recommends you created, but when you created, how we can able to assign that authentication recommend to the application? You cannot assign that authentication recommend directly to the application. It won't work. We need to create a rule. For example, we create a policy in the ping fed rate. The same stuff we are putting it as a rule here. That rule is known as the authentication requirement rule. We need to create a rule. Once we create a requirement, then we need to assign that requirement to the rule. Then assign the rule to the application. That's all. This is like one of the mandatory steps we need to do one time. If you do it, that's enough. Whatever the author and the code word we have created, we need to assign that code into the rule, then assign the rule to the application. This is the most important step. Let's create that authentication recommend. Let's go to the ping access console. That's a simple step, small like it will take only 1 minute. Rule of the authentication recommend rule to the application. That rule name is also authentication recommend only. Let's create the authentication recommend. Can you go to the console of the ping access? Click on the access in the top. Here in the left hand side authentication, it is there. Let's create it. Add in the left hand side. No, not that one in the left hand side authentication requirement. Click on that one. Add authentication recommend. Here you can put name as Pauti. Just you can put it in lowercase. That would be better. Everything you can put it in lowercase. Copy that and you can put the same name. Naming convention for the recommend also. Save it. That's all. Now let's create a rule for this one. No one is fine, one is fine. If any application asking for any other requirement, we can do another one. Now here in the left hand side rule, let's create a rule. This is what even in the description in the topic is mentioned authentication recommend that dictate how the access under access authentication under authentication requirement. Now let's create a rule in the left hand side. Rule is stay. Let's create a rule. What is that? authn underscore rule you can put. Yes, going to the ping. This is what this rule is, the one which will assign to that application that the application will check. Oh, there is a rule. Then it will go to the authentication equipment. That authentication requirement will go to the PF. If you didn't provide the rule, it won't work properly. Authentication recommends. Minimum, you can choose that per theme. No. First you need to choose that first one. Then you need to choose it again. Save it. We're just calling the rule and we're getting from the authentication requirement list. Automatically it will show. If you didn't create it, it won't show here. Let's take a kind of a seamless system. Under access. Access under access rule. Under rule authentication requirement rule. We will see more about the rules rule system 1, which is authorization stuffs. Even this is only rule for authentication. This is the only one rule for authentication. Other rules and all we will be seeing authorization. In our both step. Now can you save it? No, that's fine. What is the difference between authentication requirement and minimum authentication? No, authentication recommend list means it's like a name of the authentication. For example, if you are having 2 to 3 authentication recommend that name, then what is the rule? What is the code where you have put it inside that one? That is what. Don't get confused. A lot of people will confuse in the. This is the name for authentication, first one. The next one is the code you have used. We have used, both of them are same. That's why you are getting. Oh, that's all. I think we have created a rule. Let's stop it here for today. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll create a client ID client secret for ping access separate in ping. Then we'll create a selector policies and finally do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.